Just a reminder of RK Equity, 12 years experience in lithium battery materials. This is a list of our clients. We have done work for everyone on this panel here, so just bear that in mind. There's a lot of news about U.S. supply chains under the Biden administration. So he gave a 100-day review published just last week. And following up on that, Congress, 14 Democrats actually in the House published a letter, thanking him for this and essentially saying, refocusing our nation's priorities to support supply chain security is an area of significant bipartisan agreement. We look forward to working with you on bold action that supports domestic mining and production of raw materials and minerals, essential for the domestic manufacturing, transport, and energy infrastructure. We now have the full-throated endorsement from the Build Back Better Biden administration, but very importantly, there's bipartisan support for infrastructure development, localized supply chains, and partnership with friendly countries. One of those friendly countries, I call this Canada America. These are bullet points from that 250-page document. It says Canadian companies and persons are the only non-US entities and persons who are considered a domestic source. And Canada is the second largest import source for strategic and critical minerals, for which the United States has a net import reliance of greater than 50%. Trade in strategic and critical minerals between US and Canada exceeds $76 billion. And they actually reference junior mining in this document. Canada is a global hub for mining project finance, including risk finance that supports junior mining in the strategic and critical minerals space. So we've been talking, Rodney and I, about what we call a North American lithium triangle from Carolina to Quebec to Ontario from a hard rock perspective. I'm going to introduce Chris Evans. This company is not yet public. Chris Evans used to be the chief operating officer at Altura Mining, which is where I met him. He then became part of the Goulamina mine at what is now Firefinch for a period of time, but he's now working on a Quebec project exploration story that's being spun out of a company called Metals Tech. And they announced a deal a couple of weeks ago where Lithium Royalty Corporation, a royalty provider, is, anchoring the IPO, which is expected to be at the end of August.
We have 3 projects, one of which is advanced exploration stage in the James Bay region of Quebec. There's 20,000 hectares of land over the 3 projects, and they're 100% owned by Winsome Resources. CanSet is the most advanced, and at CanSet between 2016 and 2018, there's been about 59 diamond drill holes for about 5,500 meters of drilling. There's almost a resource there, but it didn't quite happen due to winter season, various other factors. But the CanSet project is quite incredible in terms of its grade and the way the ore presents. So from surface at parts of CanSet, we've experienced 18 meters of 3.2% lithium oxide, which really is a world-class type of grade. And not only is the grade high, but it's a very coarse grain spodumene. So this is very similar to what we have seen at the old Bald Hill, which is in Western Australia, mine, which makes the ore very amenable to DMS only. So dense media separation is a very simple gravity process and it's low impact. And I think this is the key to our projects here in Quebec, is that we are going to be a low impact, low capital cost, low operating cost mine that'll be very quick to get into operation. Roughly speaking, our timeline, our prospectus will be lodged in July, our offer will open in August, and then our ASX listing should commence in September this year. And already we're seeing strategic investment. So the Lithium Royalty Corporation is a Canada-based company that's backed by Waratah Capital and Riverstone Holdings. They've invested 6 million Australian dollars for a 3% royalty over our lithium, and they're cornerstoning our IPO for 3 million Australian dollars. They're going to offer a board seat and give us some real advocacy and influence in North America, and particularly in Canada, where our projects are.
DMS is really the gold standard if you can do it in terms of cost and processing. You've done some test work here, metallurgical test work.
Yes, metallurgical test work was done on a representative sample of drill cores taken over a number of drilling campaigns, and from average grades of 1.5 to 2%, a 6% concentrate was produced, no problems, and that's essentially on an unoptimized flow sheet, which leads us to believe that we can start this in an incremental manner. So the amount of drilling that's been done at the moment is enough to, in theory, produce a JORC resource, which hasn't formally been wrapped around it yet. But with a few million tonnes and we're starting with one DMS module effectively, there's 3 or 4 years of operation producing, in the region of 50 to 100,000 tonnes per annum of a 6% concentrate, and then we can ramp up as our exploration increases.
So in other words, near term, you can be to market quickly then.
That's right. Very near term, because it's an understood technology. And when I say near term, for an advanced exploration, I see us only as one drill season, and then a short while later, we could be in production.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at past producers in Oz, Tawana, and so on, in the old days, they were up and running very quickly. So I think they were up and running in about 8 months, if I remember correctly. So that's very promising. And I see there, you're reaching these sort of recoveries that are very coarse materials. So you're going to be on the low end of costing.
I really think so, yeah.
And your transport route into the US?
We sit directly on a major highway for the CanSet project. So we're directly connected by road. And in addition to that, there's a major Quebec hydro power line passing directly through our tenement. So again, we can connect to mains power relatively easily, which again lowers our time for production and our footprint.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, so look, again, Rodney and I have been very focused on, again, we call it the North American Lithium Triangle, big supporters of Rockin' in the Free World, Neil Young in Quebec. And we have Critical Elements coming up after Trevor Walker from Frontier Lithium on the next panel, who could speak about the vast, the quality, of the resources and the exploration upside and potential. We think Canada in general is underexplored. We are what we call in lithium 3.0. Winsome is a bit of a lithium 4.0 story, in that it is it's a new story in lithium 3.0 that has had some promising work done, but with the capital that they raised in the IPO, expected to be anywhere between 12 to 18 million, I think is the target. They'll be well cashed up for a very aggressive drill program. And if you saw on that map, I think they're just north of Critical Elements and the Rose project. So I think you're going to see a lot of news flow coming out of Canada, hard rock deposits. And we've also observed, Rodney and I, a Canadian discount. Canadian projects in general are trading, especially hard rock ones, at meaningful discounts to, let's say, Argentina brines or DLE stories. We think on a relative value basis, in addition to an absolute value basis, there's significant upside potential in the Canadian stories. And I'm not sure what the valuation, do you have any indication what the valuation is going to be of your IPO, Chris?
Yeah, so we expect the EV to be 9 million Australian dollars.
9 million Australian dollars. Okay, so that's really a ground floor kind of valuation for, you know, a drill program that, you know, hopefully will have a resource and a scoping study by the end of the year. Is that right?
That's the aim, yeah.
Okay. All right. That's great. So just anyone, you know, if you're interested in Winsome, you know, Metals Tech is public. You could buy that stock. But if you have any questions or interest, you could reach out to Chris, or feel free to reach out to Rodney and me as a conduit, you know, to convey information about, you know, the IPO. Eric, since you've last been on, I think you had some coverage initiation from Cantor Fitzgerald. Critical Elements has appointed Cantor as their financial advisor. You're very close to getting permitted, as far as we understand. And talking about higher love, Critical Elements was one of the ones that actually did hit a 52-week high about a week or two ago, before pulling in a little bit, and close to an all-time high. So there's messages in the equity markets, in my opinion, the companies that are hitting, you know, higher highs on positive news flow are potentially a good indication of momentum to the story.
It's our vision to be a large, responsible supplier of lithium to the flourishing e-mobility and renewable energy industries. We are well positioned to achieve this vision because, one, our wholly owned Rose lithium tantalum deposit in USG, Quebec, is one of the purest undeveloped lithium deposits globally. Two, Advantage Quebec. The province is extremely well located to service the North American and European markets, with strong human and financial capital, as well as extensive infrastructure. Three, we're blessed with a strong cooperation with the Cree Nation of Eastmain, the Grand Council of the Crees, USG, and the Cree Nation government. That's been formalized through the Piquetau Agreement signed in July 2019. Four, catalysts. The next year should be ripe with catalysts, which I'll touch upon as we go along here. This is a quick snapshot of our capital structure, research, coverage, and trading. We've got a very loyal retail base in Quebec and a growing international institutional registry. At the end of the February quarter, we had over 10 million in working capital, which is sufficient to deliver on our business plan over the next 6 to 12 months. 5 investment highlights, some of which we've already touched on. One, we do expect the Rose project to be fully integrated, delivering high quality lithium hydroxide to the market. Quebec was recently ranked 6th of 77 jurisdictions globally in terms of investment attractiveness in the 2020 independent Fraser Institute survey of mining companies. 3, this is a management team that's been there and done that. 4, optionality preserved. The conclusion of the permitting process in Q3 should be an important milestone as potential strategic partnerships that have been discussed over the last few years bear fruit. And finally, potential catalysts. Aside from permitting and financing, the market valuation of Critical Elements is focused on phase 1, mine and concentrator. As we deliver technical studies on phase 2, the fully integrated chemical conversion, that incremental value should become apparent. I mentioned management that's been there and done that. Until January 2015, when it was sold to Albemarle for $6.2 billion US, Rockwood Lithium was the largest producer of lithium globally. Rockwood Lithium was run by Dr. Stefan Haber and Marcus Brune, now Critical Elements Lithium's president and VP Finance, respectively. These people clearly know the lithium business. Our CEO, Jean-Sébastien Lavallée, is a geologist hailing from a multi-generational mining industry family. He's experienced in project discovery and advancement and well regarded in the mining community in Quebec. Management's well supported by a strong technical and financial team in management and on the board. It was their considered and conservative approach in the first place that appealed me in joining the board. Here one can see the Rose project location up here in northern Quebec, USG, land of the Cree peoples. Now, at first, you might think that's not particularly well serviced by infrastructure, but zooming in here, you can see that the project is located directly beside an all-service road, directly underneath an existing power line, kilometers from a community in the Mesca, and an airport. Infrastructure is excellent. Recently, we've optioned some small non-core positions of the extensive land portfolio, over 700 square kilometers. There's a great deal of exploration potential within these lands that may be catalyzed. Moving on, we're immensely proud of our relationships with the governments of Quebec and the Cree Nations. We're very excited by the opportunity to have a positive impact in our community in terms of education and employment. Our location imparts natural competitive advantages in delivering clean lithium to the market as consumers seek to decarbonize going forward. Our recent appointment of Andrew Baribeau, an experienced and well-regarded Cree negotiator and administrator, as advisor to critical elements, is an exciting development. We're also proud of our recent accreditation as UL 2723 Eco-Logo certified for mineral exploration companies, part of our journey to be the best we can be from an environmental, social, and governance perspective and contribute positively to the decarbonization movement. We intend to advance the ROSE project with a conservative approach using standard, proven technology. Phase 1 delivers a spodumene mine and concentrator producing high-value technical-grade spodumene for the glass and ceramic industries and high-purity chemical-grade spodumene concentrate for conversion. On June 7th, we announced the retainer of Metso Outotec and WSP Canada to deliver engineering studies for the integrated lithium hydroxide plant. Phase 2 will convert concentrate from ROSE, as well as potentially others, to deliver high-quality lithium hydroxide monohydrate for the manufacture of high-end lithium-ion batteries. Again, all standard technology, no black boxes. Now, zooming in slightly, ROSE ore is low in iron oxide and low in mica, two important impurities that are currently found in a lot of ores and concentrates going forward. So we're producing spodumene concentrate at a very high recovery rate and resulting in very low iron ore content, iron oxide content. The 2017 phase 1 feasibility study demonstrated a robust project delivering strong EBITDA over a 17-year life, and that's not limited by the deposit, but rather the amount of drilling, and a robust 35% after-tax IRR. Feasibility study results and the metallurgical studies on bulk sampling to support them show excellent recovery rates for both technical grade and chemical grade spodumene concentrate. The tantalum is a nice byproduct for the steel industry and capacitors in the electronics industry, a nice valuable byproduct for the project. As I mentioned, the ROSE project looks robust, and looking at the costs, you can see is from a US dollar perspective, sub 350, which definitely puts it in the good half on the concentrate side, especially as concentrate prices are now rising up through $600 and $700 per ton. Phase 2 is all about converting our spodumene concentrate into the highest quality lithium hydroxide monohydrate used in the manufacture for the cathodes for those high quality batteries. Pilot work on the ROSE concentrate has already demonstrated a recovery rate of 93% in thermal leaching, which gives us an overall lithium recovery rate from ore to lithium hydroxide monohydrate of over 80% versus the industry benchmark of around 65%. New pilot work by Metso Outotec is about to begin and will focus on giving us new data points to reduce startup risk and aid in vendor selection. So overall, putting it all together, bottom line, Critical Elements intends to develop the ROSE project as a fully vertically integrated producer of low-cost, superior battery-grade lithium hydroxide monohydrate. The ROSE project's high purity provides a natural advantage in recovery cost and market appeal without relying on elaborate or new technologies.